Well, Dougie, it's been a long, good ride, huh?
It certainly has.
Tell me, where were you born? Vale? Were you born or just raised there?
I was actually born in Ontario, just 16 miles from Vale. That's where they had the hospital, because they didn't have a hospital in Vale, because it's too little a town.
You grew up on the ranch right there in Vale the whole time, huh?
Yes, sir. In fact, I was just thinking about that the other day. I really got car sick easy for some reason. So I told my dad, I said, I just can't ride those school buses with that diesel smoke. It just killed me. So I would ride to school. And he finally fixed me a little square pin that I could put him in just off the school property there.
Really?
And I rode to school most of the time till I could drive. My dad always loved to run horses. He just liked to run horses. He liked the racehorse deal. So I got to where I loved the goddamn racehorse deal. So when I was 12 years old, I rode for Cully Gardner. I made him $25,000 that year on his racehorses. That was a lot of money then. And the beauty part about it is I got $10 a ride, and I made $2,500 for 10%. Yeah. So that was a lot of money when I was 10, 12 years old.
Did you ever think about training the racehorses when?
Oh, I did some, yeah. So I ended up going to school that morning, and I told my dad, I said, I don't want you riding my horse now, because I'm getting that $350 and putting it in my pocket. And I'm 14, right? So he had to check him out and see if he's all right for me. I flipped over backwards with him and laid his foot in his lap. Tore his knee clear up. He couldn't even walk on it for 5 years. And then I had to run the ranch, because I was the oldest. So at 14, I got a hardship driver's license. I missed 3 months of school at least every year, because the 3 months in the summer vacation for school, I was out on the desert.
Right.
Yeah, and taking care of calves to be branded, and we run 1,500 head of mother cows, and we run in an area of 200-mile radius. There's no fences in those days.
You know, we were talking about growing up and driving the teams and feeding with the team and haying with the team, and don't you think that taught you a lot too?
Oh, I'm satisfied it did, yeah. You know, when I left the ranch, I went to where my dad was born and raised on a ranch above Weiser, north of Weiser, called Mans Creek. And I worked for Elton Tarter there, and I broke 4 or 5 sets of teams for him. And it snowed 4 feet deep every morning, every day. I mean, it was 4 foot deep of snow there. You had to hook up your team and have a sled with it full of hay and go feed off of that every morning. And it might be 15 or 20 below. And you would feed cows all day long, yeah. But the work ethics, I've went all the way from milking cows to irrigating, to farming, to doing everything there is that a man's supposed to do to make a living. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we never thought we had hardship. We didn't have no money, but we had horses. My dad always liked numbers, and he had 100 head of brood mares and 5 studs all the time. Oh boy! When I was growing up.
Yeah. So, working on the ranch, when did you decide to rodeo? What got you into that?
Well, the old Baldy Seahorse that my dad had was a really good calf horse. Everybody that rode him didn't like him because he's too quick, and that horse would be famous today. He was that good a horse. And so I started roping calves on him, and I think in 2 years I won 29 belt buckles on him at junior rodeos when I was 12, 13, 14 years old.
You roped and whatever, played ball, but what got you into show horses? What made you aim that way?
In 1974, I quit the RCA and started training horses just because I could. And the next thing I know, I'm making AQHA champions and halter horses and jumping horses. And I had a guy I rode with from Oriana, Idaho, that was a big time jumper. And I rode with him for 2 years. So I just got to be, back in those days, you made AQHA champions, but you had to be able to do more than just one event.
Right.
On the same horse.
Yes.
And you had to win 50 points, as I recall. And a lot of people would bring me their halter horse, and I'd put cow points on them and random points or whatever I could to make them AQHA champions. And I think I made 42 of them in my life. Yeah.
I got a phone call. Dougie isn't going to make it. He's got maybe another few days left. So tell me, what was that like? You had
Bobby Avila came to get my horse. Remember Montana Lynx?
Yep.
A great cutting horse.
Yep.
But I won a Snaffle Bit Futurity in Hermiston with him too. But anyway, he was a great horse. And so Bobby ended up winning the preliminaries on him for me at the World, and then he ended up reserve for some reason. But anyway, he ended up being reserve. And he came to pick him up, and I didn't even know he was there. I was completely gone. He asked the doctor, he says, he don't look very good, and he says, he'll be dead by Saturday. Yeah.
That's what Bobby called me, and yeah. So you didn't die.
I didn't die.
Yeah.
And the next time they saw me was I was at the biggest little cutting in the world on Montana Lynx and won 23,000. And I weighed 120 by then.
The cancer wasn't a little thing that you had.
It wasn't a little thing.
It
was. I don't have a jugular vein on the right side of my neck or any muscles or anything on this side. So I have a cute story about Teddy Robinson. Remember, we had the pre-futurity at Bend.
At Matt Day's ranch.
At Matt Day's place.
Yes.
So I got this stud that I'm riding, and I'm pulling him around, and he ain't going to the right very good. So I was sticking him in the belly with my foot and asking him to go to the right, and pretty soon he went to the right. And my head went right over my shoulder, and Teddy says, Jesus Christ, what was that? It scared him to death because my head went clear on the other side of me. My ear hit me on the shoulder blade, and it's not that bad anymore, but I still haven't got complete control. Yeah. But it's all right because I'm doing good. Yeah.
The quarter horse shows in those days, I remember they would have a saddle up for the weekend, for the all-around
Exactly.
horse.
Yeah.
So you trained the pleasure horses and the reiner horse.
All of it.
You made her do it all, huh?
Yeah.
Don't you think some of the things that you did, your horse had a better mind when you were more versatile?
Well, see, he was finished broke then. See, that's what I call it. I call it he's a finished broke horse now because you can do anything you want to on this horse, and if anybody from 7 to 70 could ride him because he was a finished broke horse. Yeah. You just don't see that very much anymore, I don't think.
No.
I am so lucky that I got the horses that are 10, 11, and 12 years old that are still competing. So that's kind of neat. But I think that's where it's all supposed to be at.
Yes.
And you don't see many of the champions as 3 and 4 year olds ever come about.
You tell me what you do. You've got a horse that gets a little bit cranky or sour, maybe you've been rein working a lot or whatever. What do you go do?
I go rope on him. I guess you give him a job to do. Yeah, it doesn't make any difference really what you do. I've got a ranch of a friend of mine that's up between Ojai, and it's pretty tough country. And we run about 50 head of cows up there, and we'll go gather them. And if I got somebody like that, I say, you want to be that tough? Come, you're my first string horse right now. And after 1 or 2 days of that, they give it all up. You don't even have to do anything to them. You just give them a better job to do. Yeah, that's what I think.
Let them focus on something else.
Yeah,
Huh?
and a job that they might enjoy.
Right.
You know.
Yes.
Yeah. So I rope on them a lot at home because I don't have so much time to be able to do that kind of stuff that I'd like to do. But I do go to Brandon's and drag about 1,500 calves to the fire every year.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I got a tough one, that's where we go. And I think that's really important to give a horse a job to do. I think my horses are happy because I do that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So in the Snaffle Bit Futurity, I'm going to win second or third. I can't win first, but I can win second or third on her. And I'm circling her up, and she crashes with me. She was trying her heart out, and I asked her for too much, and she reached for some more ground and just cupped out from under. Down we went. 9 broken ribs, poked lung. I had 2.5 liters of blood in my 10 days later in my.
Oh boy.
But I didn't really think I was hurt. But I was bleeding internally so much that all my ribs wasn't really hurting as much as they should be, you know. So all the pressure from the blood internally.
There's been a lot of wrecks over the years.
There has been.
Yeah.
I think I broke every bone except both collarbones are okay, and 3 ribs that I haven't broke.
Still there, huh?
They're still there.
Yeah.
Whenever I go to a doctor and he x-rays my chest, he says, "Oh my God, how many wrecks have you been in?"
all the things that you've been through, and the ups and the downs, and what would you say to the young guys?
Boy, I tell you that if I still had it to do again, and I was with some really good horse trainers back in those days, I would say try to get with somebody that has done it and stay with them for a long enough time that you can figure out how to do it right. Because I don't think there's a few guys that are so athletic on horseback and savvy that they are really doing good, but there's only a handful of them that know what a horse is thinking and that the horse is your friend, you know. And I think a lot of them miss that part of it too.
I think so. You know, that used to be a thing that Greg Ward always said.
Yeah.
You know, your horse is your friend.
Yeah.
You have to treat him like he's your friend.
You got to treat him like he's your friend. And my studs will nicker at me when it's time for them to go in. They will, "Hey Dad, come on, it's my turn to go right." And isn't that awesome? Such great horses that I've had through my life, and thank God he's still, good Lord wants me to ride some more of them.
But you know, it has been a really good ride. Huh?
It has been a great ride, yes sir. I'm such a fortunate guy to be able to do all the things that I've done, from a jockey to jumping, to riding English, to riding and to perform a halter and all the stuff that a quarter horse shows have. They have 52 events, and I think I've done nearly
almost
all of
them.
them. Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's just been a great ride. I'm Doug Williamson. I'm 77 years old, and I ain't quitting anytime soon.